everyone, my name's Hanaa and you're watching the Brunel Let's Talk About It Mental Health and Wellbeing podcast. So this episode is definitely very different from all our other ones. I set out to ask all my previous guests and other staff members across Brunel from different backgrounds, different roles, different departments, the question, what is something you do to help with your mental well-being? Now, why did I do this? Well, firstly, to normalize this conversation. The more we talk about it, the more we are challenging the stigma that surrounds it. But also, hopefully seeing other people talk about what helps them with their mental well-being serves as a reminder to you, the viewer, to prioritize yours too. And well, this is how it went.
What is something you do to help with your mental well-being?
Well, this is a very good question. Oh, well.
What do you do to help with your mental well-being?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question.
Well, one of the things I like doing is coming out to be in nature, to be in green spaces. And it's really important to do that sometimes if you're feeling overstretched or very busy and you just want to take a few minutes just to kind of calm down, slow the pace, slow your pulse.
I like to walk. So I walk, for example, from home to university, and it gives you some time to relax and coming around.
I have a dog, and I'm fortunate enough to live quite close to green areas that I can walk in. So one of the immediate default things is long country walks with dog. His name is Maya.
I guess walking my dog is probably a big one, or spending time with my dog. Definitely get a dog if you need some help with your mental well-being. That makes a big difference. It means that there's somebody always pleased to see you when you get home, even if your family are less pleased to see you.
I like being outside. We're outside. I often go running outside. I like being in the woods. I like running up hills. I like running along the canal. Just getting outside, getting fresh air, being out in nature.
For my mental well-being, I like walking and I like nature, so I combine those two. If I'm feeling a bit stressed, I just need a walk in nature, go out to the woods, go out to the fields, do some bird watching, whatever it might be, but just get out of town, reconnect with nature, and 2 hours of that and I feel much, much better.
Hi, my name is Richard Bond. I'm the head of the Academic Skills Development Department here at Brunel University of London. The Academic Skills Development Department are there to help students with all of the improving essay writing skills, support with maths issues, and also anything you've got questions about statistics, come and let us know. In terms of relaxing though, you can all guess how I relax. I like to sit down and rock out with a nice little bit of rock and roll on the old electric guitar, let the neighbours know that I'm still alive. And I think the great thing about this though is that if I'm playing a song that I already know, I'm in a zone and there's no worries there. There's not going to be any phone calls, emails, people bothering me. At the same time, if I'm trying to learn a new song, bit of a mistake, better go back and focus on that. So I'm focusing on learning something new. And that means that I don't have to worry about, again, all those other things that are just feel like they're piling up and getting ready to overwhelm me.
And what is something you do to help with your mental well-being?
How will I do this?
And what is something you do to help with your mental well-being?
Not this, but I do like and get an awful lot of enjoyment out of helping students and staff on campus.
Hello, I'm Michael Ferenczi. Well, what I find is the most important thing for mental health is to actually enjoy what one does. If you enjoy your job, then mental health is not an issue. And I've been very privileged through my career to always find that there's something really interesting in my job and there's always growth associated with my job. So this has always been the most important thing, I would say. Besides that, exercise is important. I have been cycling most of my life, using commuting to work.
One of the things I like to do for my mental health and well-being is ride my bike.
which is there. And it is much nicer when the weather is nice, but I still do it at least 2 or 3 times a week to come to work, and it just allows me to think freely about all sorts of things. It's actually much better when I do it in a group. There's a group of physios at Brunel who really got me on my bike to work, actually, so I'm very grateful to them. But I also like to read novels, a whole range of different things. I have more time to do that when I'm on holiday.
I don't do just one thing to help with my mental well-being. I have a whole toolbox, you could call it, of self-care, and it really depends on the situation that I'm in. And the mood that I'm in as well, because different things work for me at different times. I do like to do lots of physical activities, and it doesn't necessarily mean going to the gym, although I do that as well. But it could be going for walks, it could be dancing. I think music is really helpful for my mental well-being.
Something that I do is that I like to tune into the great piano jazz masters. Right now we're listening to Kenny Barron. He's one of my favorites. But when I want to chill out and de-stress, I might listen to a Chick Corea, a Bill Evans, or maybe even a Duke Ellington. And I find that has a calming and controlling effect.
So I did my PhD in biochemical engineering, and I spent the whole time underground in a basement. And well, like the subject, it was miserable. So the best thing for me to do is to get outside in some fresh air, green space, listening to the birds, watching water move, and that really makes me feel relaxed.
I go for random travels. I would pick a random bus, random train, and get out at any station, and I would explore the place, meet people, and that usually boosts me up.
So I wanted to talk to you about the research project that I'm doing, which is here. It's called Happy to Chat. Happy to Chat is very much associated with mental well-being because we're trying to encourage people to all participate in Happy to Chat, pick up the badge, put it on, and signaling to others that at that moment you are happy to have a conversation. And our research finding shows that by talking to people and stay more socially connected, it actually lifts your own mental well-being and make you feel happier, and you trusting people more, and you feel more upbeat and at ease with yourself.
3 things that I find particularly helpful. First of all is social contact. So that might be messaging a friend who I know will make me laugh when I'm feeling low, or meeting up with friends to kind of get out of my own head.
Another thing I do is I go to the local gym and I go to spinning classes, which is not spinning cotton, which somebody thought it was when I described it to them, but is on an exercise bicycle, cycling fast, with lots of resistance on. You sweat loads, you get really hot, but I always feel great afterwards.
Another thing I find really works for me is exercise. So I've found types of exercise that I do because I really enjoy them, not to make me look a certain way. And I find that they really help me to be present in the moment, which I'm not very good at doing. And they make me feel really present in the physical as well.
I also like to do cooking.
And the last thing is baking. So baking is a bit like exercise for me. I'm present in the moment. I put music on, I sing along, I just work through the steps methodically. And the bonus is you have something nice to eat at the end of it. And another really useful thing that baking has taught me is that actually it's okay to make mistakes. So I've made a lot of them. And if nothing else, they make for a good Instagram post.
So there's a couple of things I do. One is that I used to suffer from anxiety, and I found that for me, taking fish oil tablets really helps with that. So that's something I do every day. And I also listen to quite a lot of self-hypnosis tracks to help me get to sleep and that kind of thing. So those are probably the 2 main things that I do.
And I also, when I'm able to make time for it, I reach out and try and get myself a massage every now and again.
What is something you do to help with your own mental well-being?
A variety of things, to be honest. Like many people, I like to go for walks. 10,000 steps a day, everyday measuring. It's something that keeps me a bit fit, but also helps my mind, not think of work, but of other things. And actually sometimes that helps you also to become more creative because you're thinking about other things.
Hi, Hi, my name's David Tree. I'm the Vice Dean Education in the College of Health, Medicine and Life Sciences. My research and teaching is in the area of genetics, and to help me with my mental health, I like to run. I like to feel like I'm being relatively healthy, and it helps me to turn my brain off for a while and not think about work and the stress of life. I also like listening to history podcasts on my phone as I go, and you always learn something interesting.
I like to be involved in some sort of physical activity. For example, walking. I love nature. So walking really helps me to clear my head, to reflect on things, what I do strategically. I have also introduced walking meetings with staff and students.
Running was one of the things that I really liked doing from a child. I'd been doing it from about 19. But as I hit my kind of menopausal years, I decided that I needed to look at some other routine that's going to help. So I started doing research around fasting, and I've really got myself involved in 3 and 5 day water fasts.
Mental health then is quite a big concept. So there are 3 things that I do. First, maintaining healthy work-life balance, which is quite ambitious, but I do my best.
To me, the most important thing is, first of all, to try to split what is personal from what is not personal. Try to control, to put some control on things that are personal to help me. Like, planning, organizing things so that, I don't become anxious about things not being organized. But about work, just trying to keep that separate and break things down to deal with one thing at a time. I guess that's my way of dealing with it.
Secondly, religion is quite a key part of what I do. So practicing Christian and having a strong faith in God. And the third thing I do is my mindset. What I do mean by this is, some years back when I was growing up, my dad taught me that whatever you're going to do, always assume the worst case scenario. And then you take it from there. So you assume it's not going to work. And if it's not going to work, and so what? And once you've gone through that reflection, you realize that it's not a be all, the end all. If you don't get something, life goes on.
What can I do to prevent having any mental health issues? And secondly, regardless of what I do, I get some mental health issues. I get, anxious. Sometimes something worries me. I get stressed. So how do you manage that? So from the preventative side, I usually look at my lifestyles. I need to get really good sleep, and sleep hygiene and sleep routine is important to me.
Something I like to do to help with my mental health and well-being, I like to go for walks around the campus just to get some fresh air. I like to have a chat with my parents on the phone, just someone outside my work environment. I'm a woman of faith, so I do pray and just take time to meditate. And I like to watch TikTok videos just to have a little chuckle. So that's what helps me.
And then the simple thing that I do is just remind myself to come to here and now. So just check myself, what's happening here and now at this time. So what is happening is that I breathe okay, I attune to my breathing, it puts aside all those other things which are in my past or in my future, allows you to sort of separate some of the things that in your mind. And often when you actually come to the here and now, even I might be bothered by all kinds of things. Here and now, it's much easier.
But in terms of, getting the mental health issues really, when I feel sad, distressed, etc., then, the first thing I do is take time off from what I'm doing. So maybe go to the garden and, do some gardening, or go for a run or walk, or just do completely different things like, sorting out your kitchen cabinets. And that gives me some time just, out of my stress, etc., and that helps me manage things.
I sometimes, again, in situations where I feel stressed or anxious, I take the bird's eye perspective. And I imagine this little bird in the sky looking at me or looking at the city I live in. And I'm thinking to myself, what is this bird seeing? Sometimes it helps me put things into perspective. I'm just an average person with some average worries, and the practice is something that really reassures me.
I try very hard to make sure that I keep my well-being level all the time, so that I can avoid a situation where I've got to use big strategies to lift myself out of things that are tricky. And I do that in a range of ways, one of which is trying to keep a sense of perspective and a sense of humour. The second of those is listening to lots of music, lots of the time. The third thing is doing things that I really enjoy, like watching films, going to the theatre, and reading, and then just hanging out with my friends and family, because there's nothing better than friends and family to keep a level in your world.
And that's a wrap. Now, I did want to say, and it is going to get a bit serious for a moment, but it's important, so hear me out. As I'm finishing up in this role, and as a host of a podcast that centres around mental health and well-being, specifically for students and staff in higher education, it's so important to take care of your mental health. I made this video in a light-hearted way, but I hope that the message is still crystal clear. With whatever is happening or whatever you're going through, it's about making sure that you are okay. And I know that's easier said than done. You might be thinking, great, thanks, Hanaa, that was great advice. You just taught us to be okay, whatever that means. But what I'm trying to say is that there are certain things you can do to make sure you don't exacerbate some of the negative feelings. And that starts with prioritizing your mental health. I hope this video serves as a reminder of that, and that your mental health matters first and always. So I do need you to ask yourself, do you feel like you are prioritizing your mental well-being? I always say that self-care is a form of respect that your body and mind deserves. So please do take care of yourselves. Also, a big thank you to all the amazing staff members who took a moment out to share what they do, and also all the staff members who've been previous guests. It's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you all, and everyone's links will be down below. And stay tuned for our final episode, which will be in a couple of weeks. Bye!
So I'm a geneticist, and about a year ago, listening to a history podcast, I found out that guanosine, one of the building blocks of DNA, is named after guano because it was first identified from bat shit.
Amazing, thank you.